videos, podcasts, an ebook, and the Grand Canyon Shade Tracker. Be sure to check out all our completely free resources at brightangeloutfitters.com. Bright Angel Outfitters was born out of a love for the Grand Canyon and exists to help you hike your best hike. Find it all at brightangeloutfitters.com.
It's one of those special places where you all can just chit-chat with complete strangers and have this amazing bond.
Ah, the age-old canyon conundrum. Which way do I go on a rim-to-rim? North to south or south to north? My name is Brian Special, and this is the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. Well, last time we laid out the pros and cons of a North Kaibab to Bright Angel rim-to-rim, going north to south. And this time, we'll go the other way, south to north, and make the case for the South Kaibab to North Kaibab route. On the surface, the differences are apparent. Going south to north is almost 3 miles shorter than the other direction, but you'll typically hear most argue that it's more difficult because you're gaining 5,780 feet of elevation on North Kaibab, which is 1,300 vertical feet more than if you're ascending Bright Angel on the south side. But you're not going to hear me make that argument, nor will you hear today's guest make that argument. Buffy Park thinks she has somewhere around 100 hikes on the corridor trails under her belt, and many of them have been rim-to-rims going in both directions. In our last episode, Buffy and I talked north to south, and this time it's south to north on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. Let's talk about the logistics and the hike of going south to north. Now, you might wonder why people don't typically go Bright Angel to North Kaibab for a rim-to-rim. I think the reason for that is pretty simple. It's longer. It's about 2.5 miles longer to do it that way. You don't really gain anything by going down Bright Angel versus South Kaibab. And if you have a chance to go down South Kaibab, the views, in my opinion, are the best views in the entire canyon. So if you're doing
in the daylight,
anywhere,
for sure.
well, in the daylight, of course, there's nothing. It's the abyss when it's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Not a lot of fun to be in the canyon in the middle of the night, if you ask me. I know you said you like it. To me, hours and hours of it it just grinds you out. It just wears you. It just wears me out looking down at the artificial light. But I digress. So let's talk about going south to north. Now the logistics that someone has had to take are on the logistics that they're going to run into are basically on the other side, because you get to the south rim. Getting to the South Kaibab trailhead, you cannot drive directly to the South Kaibab trailhead. The closest you can get is parking out on Highway 64 along the road, as long as you just follow the signs and don't park in the no parking zones. You're within about 3/4 of a mile. It'd be about a 3/4 of a mile walk past the barricades and to the South Kaibab trailhead. That's one way you can get to South Kaibab. The second way is the shuttle. That's the most hassle-filled way to get to South Kaibab. If your car is, like, for instance, near the Bright Angel in the village somewhere, then you've got to take a shuttle all the way to Grand Canyon or to the visitor center, and then switch shuttles and go out to South Kaibab on the Kaibab route. That's the other way to do it. The third way, which might be the best way, and one of the great Grand Canyon hacks, is to take a taxi. You can park anywhere in the village or in Tucson, and call the Xanterra taxi. They'll come pick you up. It's only like $15. It's affordable. Yeah. It's a great way to do it because the taxi, unlike private vehicles, can drop you off directly at the South Kaibab trailhead, and then you're just there and you're ready. You're ready to go. Be careful with that though, because I think we talk about it so much. It's become so popular.
Yeah.
And they only run one vehicle. They only run one
Correct.
taxi. And so in the peak times, everybody seems to like 4 a.m. Coach Arnie and I always joke about this. 4 a.m. is like when everybody wants to start for some reason. And that is when it might be difficult to get the shuttle, so you might end up having to wait for it. But let's just talk about this way in general. What are your feelings on going from south to north?
Well, I do completely agree with you. Is getting to the South Kaibab is sometimes a total hassle. Mm-hmm. And my fourth way for you is I've ridden my bike a few times. So I've taken my bike, and then there's a bike rack right at the trailhead at South Kaibab. I use a U-lock and a good lock. I lock it up, and then I'll hike back to my car on Bright Angel, and then drive over and pick up my bike. So there's your fourth way.
You got a bike
I'm
with you. That's a good way.
telling you, I've done it every which way. But
you have.
yeah. So So once you get to, and I'm a big fan, honestly, I'm a big fan of parking at the backcountry lot. I really feel like that Highway 64 should be reserved for people who, are day looking and maybe don't have the physical ability to, you know, to do what you're doing if you're hiking. So anyways, that's my PR on the parking. But you park at the backcountry, you take the hiker shuttle. It's a half an hour if you're starting early. But yeah, they don't start as early as they used to anymore. So I love coming down South Kaibab. I think that's an amazing trail. Like you said, like you've got your expansive views. Everybody stops at Uwa Point. I think you need to go just about like a quarter of a mile further, right? And then you get to that other turn where I think those views are better. So
agreed.
Skip the crowd at Uwa Point and just
between
keep going.
between Uwa and Cedar Ridge are the best views in my opinion in the entire canyon.
Yep.
So yes, if you go past Uwa, it's just a little bit farther and you're going to see things that are just going to blow your mind. And it's not going to be the crazy crowds. And then you've got iconic Windy Ridge down there, which is you see the pictures all the time where it's just this section of the trail that's right along this spine along this ridge, and the canyon's just in every direction, just panoramic. It's just I can't talk about it enough. South Kaibab, and if you're going to do it, I mean, please do it in as much daylight as possible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
I will say, you're talking about Windy Ridge. I will say that South Kaibab definitely gets, because it's so exposed. I mean, that's the one trail I've ever felt like I was going to, I mean, sometimes those winds kick up, watching the weather, and you should be prepared for it. But South Kaibab, when it's windy, is a interesting place to be. It will blow your hat off. And then Cedar Ridge, I love Cedar Ridge. I always find, when people talk about do I need a map? I feel like Cedar Ridge is probably the only place in the canyon where you might have trouble finding the trail. Not like you would ever not find it, but I remember for me, the first time I did it, that was the one place, because I was still in the dark there, and I was like, well, but now where do I go? And it took me a minute to find it. It's not
easy to do.
Yeah, that's one of the few places. I mean, you're not going to get lost because there's, you might walk around for a minute, but
no, you could veer off to the left there and go way out on that peninsula.
Yeah, I guess
easily. So,
but you would come back at some point.
You would, but you'd be so frustrated. No, there's a lot of pressure there. So, if anyone's listening and this happens to you, if you just go down straight, just keep going straight when you get to Cedar Ridge, past the sign,
the tree,
past the tree. Just go down. It's just down to the right. It's just down to the right, and you will find it. But I remember that first time I was like, where the heck is this thing? And why isn't there a sign? And I still wonder why there's not a sign there.
I don't know why. I totally agree. There should be a sign there. Yeah. So once you make that turn, but again, try to do that in the daylight. South Kaibab is just, I mean, I can't even sometimes decide whether I'm taking a picture, to the east or to the west, because it's amazing. Both directions. It's so big and it's so pretty. And I know people worry about, your own cliff exposure on the trail, and people worry about the North Kaibab, and South Kaibab's got one tiny little section where you kind of have nothing on either side, but it's so wide, and it's so, again, I think people worry about that more than they probably need to.
Trails are wide and well maintained, and we always say just stay on them and you're going to be fine. Just stay on the trails. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Looking for a day pack designed specifically for Grand Canyon adventures? Our 22-liter, unisex, one-size-fits-most Rim2Rim pack could be just what you're looking for. With its 6 front pockets and pouches, you can keep the essentials close and keep on moving, while the fully insulated hydration compartment keeps water and snacks cold for hours. See what the fuss is about, and why some are calling the Rim2Rim pack backpack perfection. Exclusively at brightangeloutfitters.com. At Bright Angel Outfitters, we exist to help you hike your best hike.
Mud on South Kaibab is never fun. So you, again, watching your weather. I mean, that's the trail gets the worst when it is raining. It definitely gets nasty. There's been times where it's taken me significantly longer because I got mud caked to my shoes.
I mean, the trail itself, South Kaibab is a trail that you can really get yourself in trouble going too fast, going down. Because again, you're going to be so excited and so full of adrenaline. And I swear, and I say this from experience, you get going down, you get going too fast. You think you're making great time. And I'm telling you, if you've never done this before, and especially if you don't have poles to help brace some of that impact on your legs on the way down, you can get to the river and you might say to yourself, uh-oh, Your legs are going to be like, I'm not feeling as good as I think I should. I was just going downhill for 6.5 miles. This should be easy, but it is beating you up.
And you really truly have to watch your footing too. So if you're trying to take in the canyon, the second you glance up, if you don't stop and look around, if you don't really purposely stop and take it all in, and you try to like look up while you're going, you're hitting a piece of rebar, you're hitting a rut, you're hitting a rock, you're down. And it's not like you're falling on flat, you're falling on the downhill, and that's never ending up very well.
It's so easy to twist an ankle, to twist a knee, whatever. Yeah. It seems like I do that every time I do that. I'm like, why did you do that? Why did you look up? You have to stop and enjoy it if you're going to do that. But yeah, so the going down part can be difficult. There are some steep sections of South Kaibab. You've got the infamous steps that you have to worry about. And man, going down those steps when they're awkwardly sized, talk about a time when you'll be thankful that you have poles, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean your poles not only just for balance, like they take some weight off your knees, but for balance. And how many times have I caught myself from completely wiping out by having a pole there? I mean, it's huge.
And then you get down to the bottom. All of a sudden, you're going to go through this the portal, the tunnel at the bottom, and there's Black Bridge. You cross Black Bridge. Do you ever, after you go across the bridge, do you ever veer off to the left and go down to Boat Beach and dip your toes in the Colorado?
Yeah, in fact, I carry like this little camping blanket thing that, I mean, that's one of my favorite beaches. I've carried books down there before. I'll sit there and I'll eat an apple. I love Boat Beach. It's a great place to soak your knees. It's a great place. The sand is, it's really like better than Caribbean sand. It's amazing as far as a beach. The water's icy cold, so if you need to ice something, it's perfect. It's fun to talk to the river runners too, if they're there. But there's been plenty of times where I've just hung out there by myself. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, that ice cold water, man, that feels good after coming down South Kaibab. Where are you at on? I think you mentioned use ibuprofen, as do I. It's not something I think that anybody wants to abuse or use too much of. I know it can lead to ulcers, and I know you should obviously check with your doctor before using ibuprofen regularly. But is that something you use and that you find works?
Honestly, I would say I probably only use ibuprofen about 20% of my hikes. It's if I'm doing the back-to-backs, or if I'm going down now North Kaibab just because it's 14 miles, sometimes that'll knock my knees pretty bad. But otherwise, no, I'm not real big. I mean, it's not an every hike thing. I am real big on real food. I always have real food with me. I do apples, I do peanut butter jelly sandwiches, I do trail mix. I stay away from all the artificial stuff, good, bad, or indifferent. That's just what works for me.
And you never have any stomach issues or anything?
No.
That's hard to do. That's one of the hardest things to do is to figure out your nutrition. I think most people say that. And do you typically overpack? Do you fear pack? Do you typically know exactly what you need now and pack properly?
I'm pretty dialed in. I don't think I've ever finished a hike without some food in my pack, something in my pack. But for what it's worth, I do rely on Phantom. Like I'll take some peanut butter and some jelly packets, and I'll buy a bagel. That's just as easy for me. It works, and if you've got it there, it saves me the 2 ounces of carrying the extra bagel. Or sometimes I just don't have a bagel, so that's easy. I always carry an apple, which is funny because the weight of that is probably ridiculous. I've carried Coke Zeros into the canyon. I've carried bags of cherries into the canyon. I don't know. At some point, again, you get to the physicality, and then you're like, just what's going to be good for you, or what do you want? So you do that. Like an extra 12 ounces isn't going to kill you.
What do you have on your feet?
I always wear my Salomons.
So trail runners?
Yeah, trail runners for sure. I've never tried to hike in hiking boots if I'm not in the actual winter time. And I always wear shorts, and I know it's ridiculous. And I'm like the coldest person. People who know me in real life, like outside of the canyon, I'm always in a sweatshirt. I'm always freezing cold. But I swear, in the canyon, even when it's snowing, I mean, I would rather be regulating my core temperature and be wearing shorts. I'll wear compression sleeves up to my knees and I'll still have shorts on, but it seems easier to regulate my temperature with gloves and hats and puffer coats and, layers in my core. And I'm more concerned about being sweaty and wet. Sometimes I see people and I just think that if I was wearing that amount of clothes, I would be so soaked wet, sweaty, because you're hiking, that I'm team shorts all the time.
Yeah, you're not alone. Same with me. I'm wearing I've got shorts on with my micro spikes in the wintertime.
Yeah.
People give you funny looks and say things to you all the time, but my legs don't get cold. And not only that, but I live in Phoenix and I don't even own a pair of hiking pants.
I actually don't.
Choice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one for sure.
So you cruise through, then you cruise through Phantom. Like you said, what do you like to do at Phantom? Because you actually will use the canteen and you will actually purchase things. What kind of things do you like to do down there?
Well, I joke that it's my favorite coffee place. So if I get there early, I'll get coffee. It obviously depends on what hike I'm doing and what time I'm doing it at. But if it's any time before 10 a.m., I'm getting a cup of coffee. I'm almost always getting a bagel. If it's in the afternoon, I just start off with a lemonade and 2 refills. Like I just pay for them right off the bat. They always remember, and so I'll drink one and then I'll fill up my bladder, not my bladder, but my water flasks, with the other 2. So I got a little ice and that keeps my core cool if it's hot. I think that's all I've ever really gotten there. I mean, I've stayed at Phantom. I've gotten super lucky with cancellations a number of times, so I'm blessed in that way. But other than their like actual food dinners, I think all I usually do is bagels. I love the environment of Phantom when you're talking about, you're talking to people that have gotten there in 1,000 different ways for 1,000 different reasons. They've overcome something, or they're on their fitness journey, or it's their birthday, or it's a reunion, or it's a family. I mean, everyone is in the same wonderment of the canyon. And it's one of those special places where you all can just chit chat with complete strangers and have this amazing bond over what you're doing and how you're doing it. And, you share stories and experiences and like how you got there or what brought you there. That's where I get embarrassed when somebody will say something like, "Oh, it sounds like you've done this a few times. How many times have you done it?" And I'm like, I don't even want to tell you. It's like, I don't even want to say how I need a hobby. Like, this is my hobby. So yeah, I really hope someday when we're done with this Trans-Canyon water pipeline that the true cantina experience will come back, when it was open and you could go and you could play, Uno with strangers and you could sit down and talk to people. But the outdoor patio fine it serves its purpose.
Okay, now you got 13.6 miles to go to the North Rim from there. So you've done the significant downhill. Now you've got 5,780 feet to gain over that period. You're going to cruise through the box. You're going to cruise through, what some people call the frying pan. Not the places that you want to be. 6.8 miles to Cottonwood. You don't want to get yourself caught in the box or in that frying pan area where it's super exposed to direct sun. You don't want to get caught in there in the middle of the day when it's hot out. That's where trouble happens. If there's a death zone in the canyon, that is probably it. So you want to be careful there. Then you get to Manzanita, which is 5.4 miles from the top. And like you talked about earlier, Buffy, you're kind of just gradually inclining from the river all the way to Manzanita. You gain, roughly 1,500 to 2,000 feet. At Manzanita, instantly, the second that you step out from Manzanita, it's the most perfectly placed rest area in the entire park, because you better take it. It's the last chance that you're going to have to access the creek if you need to filter water. There are pit toilets there. There are picnic tables. You want to take a break there, because the second you step off that trail back onto the North Kaibab Trail, it's straight up from there, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, I will say that over and over again. Like, you can get to Manzanita feeling like $1,000, and man, you haven't even started the hike yet. That entire hike on your North Rim is Manzanita up, and it comes at you fast and furious. I mean, I totally agree with you. Stopping at Manzanita, it's nice and shaded and it's beautiful, and you got great access to the creek. and you better really put your big girl pants on because you are going to climb and it's not going to let up. You're just climbing the whole entire way out. There's really very few small sections where you're flat, and then you're just climbing.
Except for the annoying stretch right before Redwall Bridge, where you actually go downhill and give some of that work back.
I get so mad about that. Why do I got to go down to go back up? Yep. Every time. But it's a really beautiful section of the trail too. I mean,
it is.
The rocks and you've got all the trees. So one of the pros for coming out the North Rim that I think gets missed sometimes, especially if you're talking about like if your only chance to do it is in the summer, is that you get a decent chance at least of, some afternoon showers and some monsoons, and you are higher elevation, so it does cool off faster. Like part of me is, even when it's hot, I'm like, okay, yes, you absolutely have to time the box and you have to time the frying pan, asinine hill. You don't want to be out there when it's hot. But you also know that once you get to Manzanita, yes, the climb starts, but it does start to cool off. You do get some shade, you get it cooling off. Depending on the season, it's not always a bad choice if you're looking at that or the South Rim, because the South Rim's definitely going to be warmer.
Yeah, Manzanita is also a good place, as is Ribbon Falls, to wait out the heat of the day. And hopefully you've used, our Grand Canyon shade tracker, and so on the day of your hike that North Kaibab from Manzanita to the top is going to start shading in at, say, 2:00. If that's the case, that should be your target,
Yes.
While it is cooler going up North Kaibab, you could still have the direct sun on you. It could still be absolutely brutal. So if you can wait for the shade and time your hike to be in the shade, that is without a doubt the way to do it. And Manzanita is a great, great, great place to wait it out. And something you said earlier about not knowing how long it's going to take you. I've had times where I'm doing a Rim2Rim and I'll have started it at 1 or 2 in the afternoon in the summer to avoid the heat of the day. And I will catch up to people going up North Kaibab, even before Redwall Bridge. And they've been out there since 4:00 in the morning. And they are just on the suck-fast struggle bus like you've never seen. And they've been out there for way longer than they thought. They don't know if they're going to get to their hotel. They don't know how they're going to get to their hotel. They've just completely underestimated. So, man, we can't say it enough that if you have not hiked the canyon, you don't know how long these things are going to take you. And if you're in a group, you're only going to be as fast as your slowest person. So you have to keep all these things in mind. And another thing that you said earlier, a lot of people are trying to time it so that they hit the Trans-Canyon shuttle that's waiting for them at the top to take them back to the South Rim that day. I cannot imagine a more stressful experience than never having been in the canyon before and having to be out by, say, 2:00 to catch that shuttle, not knowing how long it's going to take you. I mean, the stress of that. And if that shuttle's gone, now what are you going to do?
Well, and you just turned it like an enjoyable experience into this, time crunch. You're super stressed. How great are, how enjoyable is that? You absolutely want to, that's where you go back to the flexibility. Like you really have to know first time, man, you got to be flexible about anything. You just like throw all your times and your, I want to be here at this time or whatever. I'm going to hike out. You just throw that all to the wind because you just don't know, but you do have to know what you should or shouldn't be doing. Because like you said, like you cruise through the box. Well, you cruise through the box as long as you're doing it at the right time. Otherwise, you're in a world of hurt. And like you've really set yourself back because you're not going to enjoy the rest of your hike if you end up there at the wrong time and you decide to push through as opposed to hanging out at Phantom. Like that flexibility. You go back to the flexibility. You just really have to make smart decisions, and having a time or a number to beat if it's your first time it's just silly.
Yeah, it's even before that. I mean, it's in the planning stages where you can make this fatal mistake. I mean, if you are going to go south to north, okay, great, but you have to have a room waiting for you on the
Absolutely.
You have to. You can't think you're going to, unless you've got someone waiting there to pick you up.
Right.
That's the only option you've got.
A car, and a person that you trust that's really going to, because even like cell phone coverage is terrible. You can get it on Coconino, but logistics, it's, definitely, yeah. But if you got somebody that's going to hang out at the trailhead for you, then you're good. But otherwise, yeah, I agree. You have to have a room, and then you have to get your head wrapped around the fact that you got to get to your room.
Yeah. And that might include a 2-mile walk along the bridle path to get there from the North Kaibab trailhead. It's a 2-mile walk. So if the shuttle's not running, if you can't hitch a ride with someone, which is always possible, but if you finish in the middle of the night, there may be nobody there. Yep. You may just have to suck it up and do that walk. And plus, you know what? Finishing on the North Rim, I don't think there's anything like it, because if you've never been there, finishing on the North Rim and then, you know, waking up the next morning and being in the pines and in this place that's stuck back in time, it's just the best. It's just the best.
I also think, and it's probably because it's so much harder to finish on the North Rim logistically, but that's where I always get like the crazy cowbells and the crazy people, and they will cheer. They're not there for me. Like, they're there for their group that I talk to, or maybe, you know, like is split up or whatever. But like, I get more like cheers on the North Rim, coming out the North Rim. You just have crazy people, you know, in the higher seasons, like the cowbells crack me up, and they will cheer for you. They don't know you, but you finished, and it's fun in that way to finish there.
Have you joined the club? Our Rim2Rim Hiking Club 2024 t-shirts are now available at brightangeloutfitters.com. Super soft, super stretchy, and made so you can celebrate your once-in-a-lifetime accomplishment. The Rim2Rim Hiking Club t-shirt, part of an entire Rim2Rim collection of tees, hoodies, and sweatshirts, available only at brightangeloutfitters.com. Sales directly support this show. Again, that's brightangeloutfitters.com.
And I also think that the direction that you pick should not be based on how difficult it is, because I think the difficulty between the two is marginal. I think they're both hard. But everyone likes to say, well, you're going to be going downhill for so long if you go north to south. And so that's the way you want to do it. Well, guess what? Then you're going to get punched in the face by that straight uphill that you've got at the end. It's steeper at the end going up the South Rim. So, but do you agree with that? It's kind of a marginal difference in terms of the difficulty level, north to south versus south to north?
I think that the worst way to make a decision on which way you're going to go would be to try to figure out which one's easier. Neither one is easier. They're both hard. And if you're wanting to hike the canyon, guess what? You didn't just pick off the easiest thing to do anyways. So marginally, so incredibly marginally, I think that should not even come into play. I don't think that one is at all easier than the other. I think there's way other things that I would base my decision on.
So last thing I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Oh, no.
You've got one direction to pick for the rest of your life. You've got one way to choose, south to north, north to south. Which way is it going to be?
Oh, my goodness, Brian, don't do that to me. Like, my first gut says, I'm going for the cookies. I was Jacob like cookies. I have an obsession there. And the North Rim, I love it so much. I do like starting there. But then I think, like, would I never get to see South Kaibab on the downhills again? Oh, I think I would pick south to north.
South Kaibab-North Kaibab.
South Kaibab-North Kaibab. Because I can't imagine not getting those South Kaibab views. And then I get to hang out at the North Rim. Yeah. Which I love. So, I mean, I guess if you're going to make me... But then, like, I could never give up Bright Angel, too, because that's my heart. I love the Bright Angel Trail. So, I don't know, Brian. I don't have to choose.
That's the only place you and I differ. I think we're basically the exact same in every way when it comes to the canyon, except for that. I could do without Bright Angel forever.
Really?
I would pick ascending South Kaibab every single time over Bright Angel. I don't know why. You can't do it in the summertime, obviously. No. But I will still do it in the middle of the night in the summertime. I just, Bright Angel's just not it for me. It's just not it for me.
But there's no point on South Kaibab that you can see the whole thing. Like when you look up, you see it. Yeah, you see it in pieces.
Who wants to look up anyway? I think looking up's overrated because then you see how far you have to go. And by the way, you could still be, when you're going up Bright Angel, you could be inside of a mile and you will look up and you'll be like, oh my God, that's still way up there.
Yeah, but that's where you get that, like, this is the thing I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing and I got it. And if you can do that, like, what can't you do? Like, honestly, True. You know what I mean? If you can do that, what can't you do in this world?
We are splitting hairs. There's no wrong way to do the canyon. So when it comes to direction, when you're in your planning stages, pick the direction you think you want to go and then plan around it. I mean, it's as simple as that, but make sure you do all the research. Make sure you listen to the podcast. Make sure you're in the Facebook groups. Make sure you're asking questions. Make sure you do your research, because if you just miss one little detail, it can really come back and bite you. For example, if you decide that, it sounds good that we could just hike across and catch the shuttle on the North Rim, that can ruin your entire trip. So just make sure you do enough research, and you got the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and you'll have an incredible adventure. And maybe you'll even see Buffy out there. There's a good chance of that, because she's obviously there all the time. Buffy, thank you so much for spending all this time with us, and for sharing all this hard-earned wisdom that you've acquired over the years. We're so grateful for it.
Thanks, Brian.
Buffy Park. If you'd like to interact with her, she is a regular presence in our Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show Facebook group, so please go join that today. There's also a clearly decent chance that you will run into her on the trail someday as well. That was a fun conversation. Grateful for Buffy's time, and I'm sure we will have her back on very, very soon. All right, it's currently mid-October, and that is prime time in the canyon. The trails are packed as everyone tries to enjoy that brief window of hopefully favorable weather at the end of Rim2Rim season, which officially closes on October 15th every year when North Rim services close for the winter. But you do need to know that Rim2Rim is still possible after that date, because the gate to the North Rim does not close until December 1st, unless weather forces it to be closed earlier. That means that you can still access the North Rim by vehicle until December 1st, and the Trans-Canyon Shuttle does still run between the North and South Rims until then as well, though on a limited schedule. So the logistics are certainly a bit tougher, but you heard Buffy and I talk about it. There is simply not a better time to be doing Rim2Rim than in late October all the way through November. The main reason for that, the heat. It can linger out here in the West. Early to mid-October can still be hot, with temperatures at the bottom of the canyon in the 80s and 90s. But when November rolls around, it is typically perfection, with cold mornings and mild afternoons, meaning you don't have to worry about heat mitigation anymore. The biggest advantage to that, well, you're at the Grand Canyon. Now you don't necessarily have to start at 4 in the morning to avoid the heat and be in the dark and miss all those incredible views that you will see nowhere else on Earth. You can start at, let's say, dawn, hike in daylight all day long. Yes, the days are shorter, so you might have darkness on one end of your hike or the other, but in my experience, it is worth it. Just an infinitely better experience all the way around. And when you see those fall colors on the North Rim, well, that alone will make the extra logistical challenges worthwhile. And if you do want to stay the night near the North Rim, it is still possible. Jacob Lake Inn is 45 miles away from the trailhead and open year-round. It's really a delightful place to stay, and you heard Buffy rave about their famous cookies, of course, so that's a bonus. Jacob Lake Inn is your only option that's somewhat close to the North Rim. In fact, the gate that they close for the winter to get to the North Rim, that gate is right there at Jacob Lake, so you can't miss it. You got to pass it when you're either going into or out of the North Rim, and it is a great place to stay. All this to say, if you can somehow swing a November Rim2Rim, you probably will not regret it. All right, Coach Arnie knows it's prime time in the canyon, and our personal exercise physiologist joins us now to talk about laying your foundation for success.
This week, I wanted to talk about a very important topic, especially right now. So many people are heading to the canyon for their adventures. And if this doesn't come out before your adventure, remember it for the next time. It's so important. It's health versus fitness. I'm getting lots of calls, especially from people that are starting to panic a little bit because they think they need to do more. And my first question to them is, I want to make sure, are you healthy? Are you dealing with anything? Because there's that fine line that we have to understand between being undertrained versus overtrained. Overtrained is not good. Undertrained can be better only if, when you look behind what you've done to be where you're at, have you done the work? If you haven't, well, then that might be a problem. But if you have, then you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, which means don't panic. I want you to relax a little bit and understand how important it is when you're doing something big like a Rim2Rim or a Rim to whatever you're doing, how important it is to be healthy versus just putting in a bunch of miles because you read it somewhere on Instagram or somebody told you you had to do all this crazy stuff, and it's not true. What's true is you got to be healthy to go down into the canyon. That is not a place to go when you're overtrained and sore. I promise you, you will appreciate this point later. So a couple things though. Don't stop your strength training. Make sure you're doing key exercises. Make sure you're doing easy, fun stuff. Fun stuff. Not crazy stuff that makes you, crazy. You want to do fun stuff and easy stuff and make sure what you're doing doesn't cause any pain. I promise you guys, if you follow that strategy, you're going to be fine. Relax. But if you haven't done your work, it might be something to think about as well. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Yep, always got to put in the work. Going couch to canyon is not a good idea at all. Do the work, do the research, take it seriously, and you know what? You'll crush it. That is Coach Arnie Fonseca Jr. His contact information is in the show notes, and you'll also find Coach on our Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show Facebook group, so please make sure to join. You'll have access to me, Coach Arnie, and just about everyone we've ever had on the show. Buffy, too. We're all there to help you have your best possible Grand Canyon experience. All right, that's it for now. My name is Brian Special, encouraging you, as always, to go hike the canyon. Take that first step. Embrace the journey. And when you get there, whether it's for time goals or taking your time, just hike your own hike and enjoy every step in a place you will never forget, the magnificent Grand Canyon. We'll see you next time on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters.